As many of you may know, El Toro, Six Flags Great Adventure's intimate prefabricated wooden coaster had an incident recently involving one of the trains of the coaster valleying in the back car of the train appearing to derail off the track. This has resulted in the ride being closed for an unknown period of time while park officials and inspectors assess what happened and what changes need to be made in order for El Toro to operate safely again, and to prevent this from ever happening again. I recently had the chance to view the ride in person when I visited the park this past weekend, so I got the chance to take a look around for myself. There's also been a lot of information and pictures floating around the internet about the incident, so today I decided to take a more in-depth look at the whole situation. I'll be discussing potential causes, damages, and how long it'll be until it reopens. Before I get into this video, I just like to put out there that I'm not a mechanical coaster genius or anything like that. I'm just a casual coaster nerd who wants to get the truth out there. I also like to stress that no one was injured during this incident, and that was the most important thing. Safety is the #1 priority for all amusement parks, or at least it should be, so I'm very happy to report that no one was injured during this incident. One more thing I wanted to say before we get into this video is that I released a vlog this past week that has a much more lighthearted tone than that of this video, so if you want to see something more lighthearted, make sure to go check that video out. Views were a bit down on that vlog, and I put a lot of work in these vlogs and take a lot of my time out at parks to do these, so I really appreciate it if you go check that video out before or after watching this video. Now, with all that being said, let's hop into the video. First off, I'm going to read off how some of the witnesses of this incident described what happened. A guest waiting in line for El Toro reported that as it passed the station, it made a horrible sound and smoke like dust erupted from the last car. The train barely made it over the rolling Thunderhill as the last car lifted off the track. It then valleyed in the last dip before the brakes. The station was immediately evacuated. A ride operator reported that El Toro's back car derailed at the top of the lift and fishtailed along with the train throughout the layout while scraping the track. An object flew off the back of the train, which is still unknown at this time. The smoke that was allegedly coming from the train was said to be dust coming from behind the back car. This is really all the information we were able to confirm about this incident. The immediate aftermath of this incident resulted in a lot of concern throughout the coaster world as information remained scarce. A few articles from local news firms were published sharing a little more about the incident than what came out directly after the incident. El Toro was revealed to be red tagged after this incident. This prohibits the ride from operating and puts the ride under an engineering review. In order for El Toro to reopen, they will also need a report from the ride manufacturer indicating what caused the derailment and how to prevent it from happening again. Christian Fitzgerald, a spokeswoman for Six Flags Great Adventure, said there was no derailment. This was met with immediate backlash from fans of the park because the back car of the coaster was clearly off the track.
So, Toro sort of like derail. Not good.
She also said that the train safety systems worked as designed and the coaster remained on the track, which is kind of true, but that's not necessarily an ideal thing. This incident came just weeks after the sawmill log flume tilted against one of the railings, which caused minor injuries to 2 riders, further questioning the park's safety practices. After some further inspection, it was revealed that the rear wheels of car A6 of the train came out of their normal position on the rails, according to the report. It was unclear when exactly this happened, but the train traveled most of the layout with the wheels in this position. During the ride, an axle of the vehicle damaged its rear wheel assembly, as well as the wood and steel bolts of the track, officials said. The report stated that the cause of the partial derailment had not yet been identified and that a detailed track gauge and track inspection was still in the works. Unfortunately, this confirms speculation that there may have been some more damage other than the obvious damages to the train and the area of the track that the train stopped at. they removed the right rail of the track where the train came to a halt. They also moved the A train, which was the train that derailed, to the brake run. Another thing that was noticeable was that the 6th car had been removed from the train. I'd assume they were doing a further inspection on it, but all we can confirm is that they did remove that particular car. Another sign that there was damage to the track outside of the part of the layout where the train ultimately valleyed was that crews were seen inspecting and repairing the drop. This likely confirms the fear of many coaster enthusiasts that El Toro has a significant amount of damage that will keep it closed for an extended period of time, possibly even the whole season. When we first looked at this, it looks like we aren't getting the worst case scenario or best case scenario that any of us initially thought of. There were rumblings of the coaster potentially needing a full retrack, but luckily that doesn't necessarily appear to be the case. However, I would not be surprised if portions of the ride would need to be retracked in order for it to operate again. I'm interested to see how Six Flags Great Adventure responds to this. El Toro is one of the more popular rides at Six Flags Great Adventure, so I'd expect this ride to have the necessary repairs made. The future for El Toro and Six Flags Great Adventure remains in some doubt, after 2 significant incidents that happened during the same month. Accidents across the industry have unfortunately been a commonplace this season. This may seem like kind of a repetitive excuse at this point, but I think the root of the problem all traces back to the effects that COVID-19 had on the economy and the employee shortage that has struck the industry recently. This has forced parks to cut some corners, making these technical issues more common throughout the industry. Some parts of rides have been neglected, which has led to more accidents than usual. Initially, I even thought El Toro may get removed due to the financial issues going on throughout the industry. However, this is highly unlikely due to the popularity and significance to the park that El Toro has. This would also be an extremely costly ride for the park to remove due to how large the coaster is, especially with the coaster being made of wood. I do think there's a slight chance that they may choose to install a portion of steel track in high stress areas of the coaster, but I'm not really sold on that. However, the road to reopen this coaster will be a long and strenuous one. The first thing that needs to be done is that the track needs to be repaired. If there's any issues with the track, they obviously need to be fixed. The steel rails of the track appeared to be scraped in some areas of the layout, which may or may not mean they will need to be replaced in some capacity. The good news is that El Toro constantly has its track replaced by the park, which will make this process a little easier, especially since they actually make their own track in-house. A train is also damaged and will need to be repaired or replaced. However, one of the toughest challenges will be getting approval to run the ride again from the Department of Community Affairs, especially since it doesn't look like a cause has been yet determined, even though Fitzgerald claimed that there is a cause that has been found, but that is confidential information, which tells me the cause is either an embarrassing mistake or unknown, neither of which is a good option. Immediately when the ride went down, everyone was putting out their predictions on when they thought it may reopen. Now that we have more information, I can give a more realistic timeline of when the ride will reopen. It looks like El Toro will need a lot of work before it is allowed to reopen. The good news is that it looks like the repairs are feasible. In a best case scenario, I could see El Toro reopening toward the end of summer or fall, potentially by Labor Day weekend. If it reopens this season, it'll probably be stuck on one train ops, but that is definitely better than nothing. I definitely hope that this is the case, but it also would not surprise me if the coaster is down until 2022. So in my opinion, the timeline for the reopening of El Toro will likely be anywhere from the end of this season to sometime in 2022. As unfortunate as the incident was, I'm happy that it appears El Toro will be okay in the long run, and better yet, no one was injured because of what happened. On the more optimistic side of things, this could result in the ride delivering a smoother experience when it reopens and the ride getting updated. El Toro was one of my favorite roller coasters, and I was extremely disappointed when I heard about the incident, but I hope this paves the way for a better future. That's about all I have for today's video. If you have any thoughts on this topic or any predictions for when you think the ride could reopen, make sure to tell me that down in the comments below. Also, if you have any information that I did not mention in this video, please tell me down in the comments below as well. I'd appreciate it if you could give this video a like to help spread the news to more people, and make sure to subscribe for more coaster content coming soon. Now, with that being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.